You know, guys, it's been a little while since I've made a video. It's been a little while since I've been in front of the microphone, since I've, even interacted on YouTube, on social media. It's been a little while since I've kept up with the COD community at all, and granted, it's only been like 2 weeks since my last upload, but if you've seen the pattern on the channel, yeah, there was a lot of dips in there. There was a lot of times where I was just radio silent, much like all the things that are going on in Call of Duty, right? Like, aside from Season 2, which I know a lot of people really liked, I kind of feel a little indifferent towards this season. I don't really feel satisfied, to be completely honest, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, like I said, it's been a few weeks, and you guys deserve to know what's been going on, so here's a little quick update. And if you don't want to listen to this whole update intro thing, I'll let you guys skip over to the part where the commentary actually starts. And let me get this out of the way right now. Please, guys, leave a like on the video, leave a like, subscribe, comment, do all that good shit, and have some food on the side, go take a shit while you watch this. Maybe you're like a Gooch Licker or an MW 2019 super fan and you're shaking ass on the corner for pennies. Whatever you're doing, leave a like on the video. I hope you guys enjoy. Anyways, as you guys know, I posted it a couple of weeks ago in the community notes, but I got really sick. Now, I don't know what I had. I'm not gonna lie, it could have been COVID, could have been a bunch of things. Maybe I was just sick and tired of fucking playing Call of Duty. I mean, that's probably what it was at the end of the day, but I was out for a pretty good amount of time. I don't get sick too often, but when I do, I get shitted on, I'm not gonna lie. Now, aside from that, you guys know I've talked about this many times, but I'm a full-time student. I got a good job on the side. Normally, I live alone, but right now I have some family staying with me. I'm just helping some people out around me, being very social with friends, family. The point is, I've been extremely busy, and as I've talked about in previous videos, when it comes to my priorities between doing any of those things and Call of Duty, I think nowadays I'm choosing all the other shit aside from Call of Duty because Call of Duty just doesn't gravitate towards me anymore. Like, it doesn't captivate me. I don't really have any incentive to play the game other than making content. And that gets into my next point, and this is where the commentary is actually gonna begin. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a good amount of time in my absence where I actually thought about and heavily considered just dropping everything. Like, I was just gonna quit and just vanish out of thin air, like nothing ever fucking happened. I wasn't gonna delete my channel or anything like that, but I was just gonna not continue. And that might suck to hear, and before I even go any further than that, let me just tell you guys, the ScatMaster's fucking back, okay? Like, I'm not going anywhere. It took a couple of days for me to realize that I just fucking love YouTube way too goddamn much. I love the interactions, I love the community for how dysfunctional we are. It's still nice to be a part of it and, influence some people sometimes and talk shit. You guys know what goes on in the channel. So there's no way I could actually just fucking leave, but for a little bit, there was a point in time where I was just like, I don't really want to continue, and it wasn't necessarily because of YouTube, it was more or less because of the franchise that I'm playing this fucking game under. Call of Duty is just not interesting, it doesn't appeal to me, and you guys might be watching gameplay from like Season 1 still. Like, I have barely played Season 2, I don't think I have any ranked play gameplay of Season 2, and just a little bit more of an update, I've kind of been playing a little bit of Warzone, I'm not gonna lie. I have some IRL that I play Warzone with every now and then, and I might have gameplay of that in the future, who knows. I know a few of you guys have asked me to play it, but right now, you guys are kind of back in this pattern of just watching old gameplays. And granted, you guys know the ScatMaster's shitting all over people in these gameplays, but even for something that I've talked about before with ranked play being my favorite thing to do in the franchise nowadays, yeah, that wasn't cutting it, and I actually thought about just straight up fucking quitting. And it's just kind of weird because you would think with a lot of the controversies and some of the drama that's going on around Call of Duty that I'd be all over this shit, right? Like, I'd just be spamming videos like, oh my god, people got fired, oh my god, skill-based matchmaking, all this other shit, the articles and Activision's talking about it, oh, and Microsoft bought Activision, just a bunch of shit that I could have been talking about. Of course, Season 2 as well, but at the end of the day, guys, it just wasn't interesting me whatsoever. And yes, part of that was me being absurdly fucking sick, but like I've mentioned before, when it's a good game, you're gonna find a way to play it, make content about it, if you really enjoy it that much. And for as decent as MW 2019 Part 3 is, you guys know that I don't just outright hate it or anything like that. No, there are some redeeming qualities about this game that I've talked about before. Even some of the good moments that I have playing this game, it still doesn't warrant my time for the most part, and that is exactly why I almost just quit. But then guys, I started feeling better and I started hanging around people, and you know, I started reading a lot of comments. And this is actually kind of like the most important part of the video for me. I'll talk about Call of Duty specifically and where it's at in just a minute, but I was looking around the community all over social media, on Twitter, my own YouTube comment section, other content creators, and I just realized that, motherfucker, I want to be here. I don't give a fuck what's going on. I don't care how dead the franchise is. I'll stomp on it, I'll take a shit on it, I'll comment on every single little thing that's going on, not for the sole reason of making money. Trust me, that is not an issue for the ScatMaster anymore. It's more or less just because I fucking love running my mouth, guys. That's where this whole thing stems from. You know, I walk the line pretty often here on the channel with my thumbnails, with my titles, with the shit that I say, the things that I post, you know, the pictures that I put up, just random, absurd, nonsensical bullshit all the time. But guess what? For as controversial as it could possibly be sometimes, I don't give a fuck. I love doing this shit, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen people's comments telling me to get better, just take my own time on this. People saying that they're sad because I haven't posted. People asking me to make videos, asking me where I've been. You know, the soft spot in me says that this is pretty cool and nice and I'd like to continue. So that's where I am, but I've been looking around some of these other content creators, and let me just go off on a little bit of a tangent here. I don't know what the fuck is going on in this game to make everything seem boring and seem uninteresting, but I've even looked around at my close by peers, you know, channels that are similar to mine in size and, you know, in content style, and it's just fucking sad to see. And yes, there's a bunch of other data that I can post all over here, right? The Twitch numbers, the engagements on Twitter, on Reddit, on YouTube, you know, Google Trends, the Steam numbers. There is so much data to be found here, but the thing that actually bothers me the most is the fact that the content creators that have been pushing for people and developers to understand the flaws in Call of Duty, and you know what, even some of the content creators that gooch lick this franchise and gooch lick Joe Seacott, Infinity Ward, Call of Duty, Bobby fucking Cosby, and Activision, numbers just seem low as fuck. For everybody across the board, no matter if you're loving this game, no matter if you hate the game, no matter if you're a content creator that just posts gameplays, maybe you do tutorials, I don't fucking know, but everybody's numbers are just dog shit. And that's not indicative of people wanting to quit YouTube. It's more or less the fact that everything has become so uninteresting in Call of Duty that people just don't give a fuck. Even the fans of this game. And so I look at some of my peers, and I'm just gonna give a bunch of shout outs. You're gonna hear me name drop a lot of people right now, but let me just start off by saying this. To the bigger content creators out there like, you know, Thunder and Narrow Cinema and Blame Truth, you know, etc, etc. These guys have kind of, you know, quote unquote paved the way for some of the smaller guys like myself and some of the other people that I'm about to mention. And even for them, these guys are like big ass fucking figures, at least in our portion of the community. These guys are barely uploading. These guys aren't getting the views that they used to, and that's not because their content sucks, okay? Let me just make that very clear. I am a big fan of a lot of these guys. They're part of the reason that I even exist here, but it just tells a very clear story out front about the state of Call of Duty for at least our portion of the community. Now, when you look at other channels that aren't really hating on Call of Duty, you know, you look at some of the gameplay channels, and I don't have any of them on the top of my mind, but I'll just post a bunch of their channels just right here. Views just extremely low for their standards. Exclusive Ace, Prestigious Key, some of these other people that aren't really known to hate, quote unquote, on Call of Duty or RANT, even for some of the gameplay channels out there. Views are just low. The interest is just low, and it's not because their content sucks. Even though some of these people's content is not my cup of tea, I can just tell that the engagements, the interactions, they're just lower than usual. And now when you look into some of the underground portion of our community, you know, I'm talking like people like JB and lower and smaller. Content creators with channels around that size. You look at our numbers, good God almighty. There's people quitting left and right, people are barely uploading. I mean, for instance, JB, I fucking love JB, he's cool, right? Motherfucker's uploading 3 times a day. Look, I fuck with some of the JB videos, but what the fuck is that? And that's no disrespect, you know, me and him make very similar content, but I'm just saying, you know, when engagements are low, you need to start trying new shit. And I guess that's what it is for him, but for the ScatMaster, you know, for somebody with a channel half the size, I have a pretty healthy number for my standards, right? 22,000 subscribers is a fucking blessing to me. If I tried posting 3 videos daily every single fucking day, I'd rather fucking die twice. That's the point. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know what's going on with JB, but the guy's a fucking grinder. Okay, shout out to JB. And then there's other channels that are similar in size to mine. You know, we talk about people like Gilmore. Shout out to Gilmore. This guy's funny as fuck. Engagements, unfortunately, maybe for his standards, they're fine, but it just doesn't look like it's progressing forward the same way that it used to maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago for people like us. You know, we look at other content creators like the fucking Dynamite. This is my guy. His name's Tim. A lot of you guys probably know him. This guy brought me into a group of other content creators that kind of propelled me into just tryharding at Call of Duty and YouTube, and now this is a product of it. You know, there probably wouldn't be the ScatMaster without somebody like the Dynamite, but this guy's posting videos about him talking about quitting. You know, he talks about how uninterested he is in Call of Duty, and he has another channel about fucking Pokemon. You know, I've heard somewhere in the grapevine that this guy switched to rapping, talking about Suki and switching from pussy to bussy and badussy and all this other shit. Tim, Dynamite, fucking come back, bro. We don't want to see people around our level of the community just disappear. We don't like that shit. And then there's a bunch of other channels, you know, like Prime Pete just commented on my video a couple of days ago. That's cool as fuck. Shout out to Prime Pete. Shout out to all of these people, these smaller content creators that are bigger than my channel, smaller than my channel, even to some of the people that chirp. All right, there's a few content creators out there that would chirp at the ScatMaster. And now, you know, now that we're in a low, their videos are fucking even to those guys. I wish prosperity on you guys in Call of Duty and on YouTube, and it just sucks to see that that's not the case right now. Which brings me to my final massive point. What the fuck happened to COD is back? We are back. You remember before this game launched, everybody was talking about, oh my god, Call of Duty's back. We are so back. Warzone's back. Multiplayer's back. I'm about to give back shots to your fat porky mothers. This is quite literally what I talk about every single year before a game comes out. Do not overhype this shit. Before it comes out, before you get the chance to play it, and even when you get the chance to play it, understand that there's a honeymoon phase. Understand that for a few weeks, things are gonna be sunshines and rainbows for everybody, right? Maybe not for the ScatMaster, you know, I could see through this shit pretty easily, but for other content creators, there is a significant danger in just being like, oh my god, I love this. Oh my god, I'm having a great time. Call of Duty is so good, it's so back, this game feels amazing, there's nothing to complain about. If you're complaining, you're just hating and ranting for views. It's the same fucking story every single time. Before this game came out, when everybody was saying COD is back, we are back, you know what I was saying? I was saying I can see why people are excited for this. Give it a couple of months. With a lack of content at launch, people are going to get bored extremely quickly. And that's not to say that post-launch content is not there. Okay, we've gotten a few good maps, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm fucking with Rio, I'm fucking with Greece a little bit, but the other 2 maps that just came out with Season 2, they're not too shabby. It's alright, it's not bad at all, but we're talking about the middle of February right now. This game came out in November. I've talked about this so many times, guys. When you get to the point in a Call of Duty cycle when we're like 3-4 months deep, and now we're just starting to get good actual content, you know how many people you've lost over the last couple of months since your launch? Yeah, your first 2 weeks were great, they were amazing because, you know, it was the MW2 maps remastered, who's not gonna fucking like that? But once you see past that little bit of fog, that little bit of smoke, what do you see about this game? Nothing. Not until Season 2 came out, at least, and this isn't me praising Season 2, this is me saying Season 2 actually feels like what this game should have launched at. All of the remastered maps, plus a few original maps that are actually fairly decent. It should be Season 0. Am I wrong about this? I'm sure even the biggest ScatMaster Fooly hater would agree that if Season 2 released as the launch of this game, this would be a significantly better, more interesting Call of Duty title than we currently have today. Because when you look at some of the numbers, guys, there hasn't been an improvement. With a season that is quote-unquote as good as this one is, according to a lot of the community, the numbers for this game should have skyrocketed. But that's not what we see, is it? No. What we see is either it's staying the same, which should not happen, that's not a good sign, or it's going lower, which is an even worse sign. And you know, I know it's been a few weeks, and maybe you want to say the whole, oh my god, Fooly, here we go again with the same shit. You're talking about, you know, Call of Duty is dead, it's not interesting, you're bored, you want to quit, this and that. Look, 2 weeks after my last upload, you can eat my cock from the back. You can eat my balls until they look like tuna. What I'm trying to tell you guys is, when you say COD is back before the game launches, and then the game launches and it just disproves you every single week, numbers just go lower and lower and lower, and there's no actual significant improvement no matter what you hype up about this game. You know, when people were talking about, oh my god, Warzone is so back, they're bringing back Fortune's Keep, you know, people were gassing up this whole, oh my god, stay tuned, 10 a.m. tomorrow Pacific Standard Time, look what's about to go down in Warzone, and then they fucking launch Fortune's Keep again? Nope. Not me. Look, I am unfazed by this shit, and clearly a lot of other people are too, because the game's not actually improving. For a game that a lot of people were deeming back to Golden Era formation, right? People were comparing this COD to fucking Golden Era CODs. Are you smoking dick? For a game that a lot of these gooch lickers were hyping up, where is the state of the game now in Season 2? You tell me. All I'm seeing is that people are quitting, people are losing interest, and I'm not saying that I'm making any sort of dent in this whatsoever, but me coming back after 2 weeks, you guys know that I actually like uploading. You guys know that I like talking shit. For somebody who likes to run their mouth, to prevent themselves from running their mouth for 2 weeks, and even for a moment almost possibly quitting, there's gotta be something severely fucking wrong. I wanna know where all of the quote-unquote COD is back, we are back people are at. Where the fuck are you guys? Are you guys part of the remaining player population of this game? Remember that when we look at numbers, we are no longer just looking at the multiplayer for this game, so please do not get confused when you see certain numbers and you're like, you know what, that's not that bad. Remember, we are talking about Call of Duty HQ now, right? This whole bullshit of like, oh my god, everything's on the same IP now, MW 2019 Part 2, Spec Ops for last year, Zombies from this year, multiplayer from this year, Warzone from this year, Warzone from last year, Resurgence and all this other shit and all these other side modes and campaign, all of this has accumulated into what is now Call of Duty HQ, and the numbers that you see are across the board for all of these things, not just multiplayer. So if you see 100,000 somewhere, you might think to yourself, you know what, that's actually not that bad, when in reality that is still absolute dog shit compared to the golden era of CODs, which at the time only had like multiplayer and zombies of that year as their only sustainable factors. Nowadays, when you see 100,000 of anything, just remember we're talking about like 7 different titles accumulated into one big ass spot. And for that to only have about 100,000 on one of the most populated platforms, that is not a good sign, no matter which way you try to spin it. Oh, it's just Steam numbers. Oh, it's just PC numbers. We're not even talking about Xbox or PlayStation, but guess what? The numbers might look healthy for PlayStation, for consoles and Xbox. It might look good, but I can guarantee you guys, those numbers were significantly better in the golden era of Call of Duty. And for a game that is deemed to be a return to that form, this is not it. So to the people that said COD is back to what? Back to the same shit that we've seen for the last 5 years, where by month 3, people don't care anymore. Arguably even worse this year because, at least for me, I can see a metric of my own. I can see the metrics of my peers. The numbers are significantly lower on our viewership as they were previously in other years where we deemed those CODs worse than this COD. You know, it's still early Season 2, one of the greatest seasons of all time, quote unquote, and it still takes me a few minutes to load into one of the most populated playlists. Is that SBMM? Is that a lack of people playing? Either way, it's not a good sign. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. I know it's been a little while, guys. I hope you understand, but leave your comments down below in the comments section. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with my newest videos. And yeah, guys, it's been the boy Fooly. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out of here. Toodles.